Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to the NASCAR series for Walker Air Transport. So get ourselves set up here, get those pitot covers and the overall covers off, and then we'll just get over and get the engines released. And we should be good there. Alright, as always, you know, our folks are paying for door-to-door service, and obviously they're not looking to have that door-to-door service be any longer than it needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and start getting everything set. So we are here at Kilo Tango Mike Bravo, and we're going to Kilo Mike Tango Victor. So we'll get that there. 4021 is always our flight. We'll get that executed. And then as it sits, we are going to go on runway 31. Not sure if that's really what it will give us, but we shall see. And L or Lifer 2 or Lifer 2 with Wixt as our point, and then we are arriving on 31 as well, and nothing special there. So should be good there. And then we got Wixt to U Lake. That should be good. Alright, let me go to the main one here. What's on the next page? Nothing. Alright, so flight level 330 is what we're filing. Whoops, I put EL, not FL. Flight level 330. And let's see. Then we got takeoff data. So we are at 3009er. Temperature still a nice warm and balmy 28. And wind is that's interesting. They don't really have any wind reported. But it is a small airport, so maybe that's the issue. Not sure. So let me pop back here. So we need a 4,000 above. Yeah, we should definitely be where we need. Oh my goodness, I cannot. I love that E this time. Some of it is, I think, the sun on the buttons is definitely causing me a bit here. But we are heading away from Miami. We're heading up to Martinsville Speedway for the Cookout 400. So Straight Talk Wireless was won by Kyle Larson. This would be Saturday, March 29th. So if you're joining us in the middle of this series here, we are just kind of playing catch up to try to get on the actual schedule. But since this was not released until basically March 23rd, we've been going ahead and playing a little bit of catch up since I didn't notice it even until probably a couple weeks after that. Because March 23rd, I wasn't even here. I was away for the time when I, wasn't really available to do anything. All right, we're going to get this. We'll get nav. Theoretically, we'll do VNav. We'll see if that'll work. It gets to be a little challenging most of the time with what it's trying to do. But at this point, I think we are getting close here. So let's get our clearance. Miami. Whoops, I don't think I have. It's going to tell us this is what you sound like. Because that's what it defaults. Miami. There you go. I sound like a little whiner. Alright, that's where we have clearance. So now we've got clearance dialed in. Miami clearance, Walker 4021, requesting IFR to Blue Ridge Airport.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Alright, you do that. They're always so excited. But yeah, we should be able to get a clearance, and we should be able to get out of Dodge. So definitely going to try to get this done. So we basically then have 2 more legs to get done, and we're trying to catch up for April 26th. Will hopefully be the flight at the appropriate time.
Walker 4021, cleared to Blue Ridge via the Liffer 2 departure, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect flight level 33010 minutes after departure. Departure on 120.5, squawk 4515. Expect runway 31.
Cleared to the Blue Ridge Airport via the Liffer 2 departure, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect flight level 33010 minutes after departure. Departure on 120.5, squawk 4515. Expect runway 31. Walker 4021. Alright, whoops.
Walker 4021, read back correct.
Alright, get ourselves dialed into 3. Alright, we're going to want to get our flaps down. And we will now. We're also going to want to make sure we got enough fuel. We should have 4,100 pounds. Not even close. Alright, that'll give us 4,200 pounds. So yeah, this is a little bit. I may try the Citation Longitude. That is a plane I have available in 2024, which I think I can use, and that gives me longer range. So I kind of forgot about that when I went ahead last time and squeezed it in with an Airbus. So that may be an alternative. I've just never flown it, and I don't know how vastly different it may or may not be. But anyway, let's go ahead. We should, at this point, be tracking, I would think. But let's see. It looks like we are. Yes, it says we're boarding. So we're going to spool these up.
Miami clearance delivery, King Air 261 for Tango is at customs, requesting flight following to Key West International.
Yeah, from Miami, Key West.
Key West International, maintain VFR, arrow below 1500. Departure frequency is 125.5. Squad code is 6615. King Air 261 for Tango.
Alright, the other thing I want to do is we should be...
I'm requesting a flight following, sir, VFR.
We should be to Wixt. So, but there is probably a point that's not in there. So we have Wixt, and then we have, I think, CSH, which I think is Charleston. Yeah, so let me put in CHS. So after Wixt, there we go. That breaks it up a little bit. And then, yes, we go U Lake to Ubwe and all that. So, okay. So I think we're good there. Let me see. We're going to go direct to Liver. So that's not going to be that far away. I mean, it is 43 miles, but we just need to be above that distance. All right. So now we need to get to ground, which is 121.7. And then tower is 118.9. So I'm going to put that in the recall. Miami ground, ready for taxi. Oops, I didn't say Walker 4021. Wait, am I...
Walker 4021, Tamiami ground, taxi to runway 31 via Charlie 7, Delta, Delta 4.
Taxi to runway 31 via Charlie 7, Delta, Delta 4, Walker 4021. Alright, not sure how all of that happened. Like, it theoretically told me it was running, but it obviously isn't. Alright, we've got flaps down, engines spooling up. So again, we're going to want to basically go off to the left. Alright, let's get our pitot set. We have our taxi lights. Turn the parking brake off. And get moving along here. So 3-1 should be over here to the left. Go. Kind of see where it would like us to go.
Hawker 511 Hotel Alpha taxi to runway 32 via taxiways Hotel in November.
Taxiing to runway 32 via Hotel in November, Hawker 511 Hotel Alpha.
So we're going to head on down here.
November to 208 Sierra Gulf Miami executive ground taxi to customs via Kilo Hotel. Have a good evening.
So again, we're moving
Kilo Hotel for
a group of folks here between all the NASCAR races throughout the year, just getting the opportunity to fly. You know, we've gone ahead this time and all of our flight plans, or most of our flight plans, try to make use of smaller airports like this. This one's significantly closer to the racetrack than Miami International, which is further north. So, you know, we avoid probably 20 or 30 minutes of driving, and, you know, could be more than that depending on traffic. This is not doing what I want. It's basically taking me through to the grass. So it's a poor design, that's for sure. Alright, so we're gonna switch to the tower. Miami Tower, Walker 4021, holding short runway 31, ready for takeoff. Alright, and then we're going to need departure. Our center is going to be 124.7. Alright, did it not? Miami Tower, Walker 4021, holding short runway 31. Come on. Is anybody out there?
Walker 4021, Tamiami Tower, runway 31, wind 05 at 5. Fly runway heading cleared for takeoff.
Fly runway heading cleared for takeoff, Walker 4021. Alright. Let's get going. Like, it's really not cooperating, but yeah, we got to turn on here. And and then we should be good. So we're gonna fire this up and get ourselves off. So a little closer to the end than I probably would have liked, but it's alright. We're gonna fly runway heading again. We need to get to about 400. We're gonna back off now that we're airborne so that we don't blow through things too quickly. Lift up the flaps, decrease our angle a bit so that we can keep accelerating. And hopefully we'll get an LNAV soon. Walker 4021, contact departure.
Altitude.
Okay, so...
Skylane 422 Alpha. Mike, make left traffic runway 30. Making left traffic runway 30, Skylane 422 Alpha, Mike.
Oops.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Alright, so we are gonna...
Miami Tower, Skinner 261 for Tango is at runway 9 at right, ready for IFR departure.
So let's see, did we... We didn't lose the legs, right? No?
Beechcraft 9001 Bravo, taxi to runway 24 via taxiway Alpha.
So we actually blew
Taxi to
through
runway
the...
24 via taxiway Alpha, Beechcraft 9001 Bravo.
We blew through the heading, so that's not good. Whoops. Yeah, I know.
Welcome to Tamiami. Contact ground on 121.7.
121.7 for 1 for Tango. Good day.
Alright, so... We're on an intercept now. I'm gonna try to get myself... So we're gonna push this. We're gonna set ourselves to heading. We're gonna do autopilot. And hopefully then that will, drop us down a little bit. And get us to 3,000. But let me contact departure. Departure, Walker 4021, 3,000 feet. Am I in the right? Oh no.
Walker 4021, Tamiami departure, radar contact, cleared direct Liffer.
Cleared direct Liffer, Walker 4021. Alright, so there we go. We should be set. Not quite sure, even though I had that, why it didn't take that. But we've got 34 miles to go.
Walker 4021, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb and maintain flight level 210, Walker 4021. Alright, so we'll get flight level change. We'll throw the throttle in, and that should give us some ability to climb. It should bring us down. Here we go. Because it'll just keep pitching up. And then eventually it should pitch down, hopefully. Yeah, because we're going up like a little bit of a rocket ship there, but, you know, we've gone from 3,000 where we're almost at 6,000. But that will work nicely. We've got our flaps up, and we're climbing at about between 5,000 and looks like 5,500. Maybe we'll get up to 6. I think 6,000 tends to be the the climb altitude or the climb attitude that we tend to get here. So let me, because yeah, we just need to be above 4,000, but there's no cap that we have at Liffer. So if we can get where we need,
5-mile final contact tower 118.3. Good night.
now we're already there. And turn off our landing lights.
Good night, American 1145.
Now that we're past 10,000.
November 261 for Tango.
But we're a good ways away, and we just passed.
Not seeing you on radar.
So that's Miami Airport there, I believe, is what I'm looking at. So that's where we would have been, and we finally kind of gotten, you know, in that space here, but we're already at 12,000 feet. But that's actually that's Miami, another executive. So now we're coming to Fort Lauderdale. So sorry about that.
Climb and maintain flight level 310.
Climb and maintain flight level 310, Walker 4021. Alright, so we'll dial that in, and then we should get one more step climb, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's just, obviously, it's staying ahead of us, so it's not really a step climb in that sense, where normally what you're doing is you're climbing to a certain level in an airliner, you're burning off some fuel to lose some weight, to make it a little bit easier to climb, and then eventually getting up, so that you're not basically trying to climb with a full aircraft. But I'm not sure, some of it may be my setup, but I'm not sure that Say Intentions does a great job of that, and I don't know that in a citation that we would be doing any kind of step climb or anything like that. So, alright. Get ourselves switched to standard. So should be all set. So you can see we've got 633 is what's reporting. Obviously the progress line's just hitting the kilo in our departure airport and going through, but you know, we'll start accelerating at some point as well, because right now you know, our ground speed's 344 knots.
132.4.
Contact Miami Center 132.4. Alright, so let's go to the tuner. Miami Center, Walker 4021 with you, flight level 220, ascending to flight level 310. So, just taking a little bit.
4021 Miami Center, good afternoon.
Alright, so took him a little bit of time. But yeah, we're at such a pitch that like we really don't see much out the window except, you know, the sky, because we're still at like 5 degrees or so, at least, maybe 6. But we are slowing down. We're down to 3,600. So that's what kind of starts to happen, which is why it, and when I say it, I mean SimBrief likes to basically toss you up at over 40,000, because this plane is rated for that. But it just always seems to struggle to be able to do that.
Miami Center, climb and maintain flight level 330.
Climb and maintain flight level 330, Walker 4021.
American 467,
Right.
maintain 250 knots.
So,
Maintaining 250 knots, American 467.
and then yeah, Bob D is coming up, so maybe we'll go ahead and get to Bob D, and then we'll be, maybe then we'll step away. So I was going to go ahead and say, yeah, you know, we're good enough, you know, we're getting to the cruise, but Bob D's less than 10 miles away, and now it's less than 8, so again, moving along at a good clip, and that will kind of line things up. So, you know, we're going to be heading a little closer to due north. You can see 006, 005, and we're starting to flatten out. So we might not quite be at 00, but alright, so 360, but now it's turning a bit more. And then we'll be heading to Drury, which is 100 and I guess it's 19.2. But either way, you know, we got a little ways to go, so I think we're good at this point. I'm going to go ahead and step away, and we will rejoin this flight already in progress as we get much closer to the Blue Ridge Airport. Never been there. Just like I've never been to this Miami Executive Airport, so that was part of the interest here. Again, there's about 7 airports that are new on this. I know when we go to Kansas City, we used to go to the main airport. I believe the dispatch crew has gone ahead and gotten us at a smaller airport there, so we've got a little bit of that. If we head out here, take a peek out the window here, we've got Lake Okeechobee, which is a big famous lake in kind of the middle of the southern tip of Florida. So we're coming up on that, and basically, as you can see, we'll be not really heading in that direction. We'll be skirting along it, but we have now reached cruise, so I will see you in a bit. Alright, joining back up here, we can see we're maybe got 20% of the flight left still, but we're getting ready to get to top of descent. You can see on the co-pilot's panel, we're kind of just bringing that into the 12.5-mile circle, so it'll show up very shortly on my panel here. But we've been given clearance to descend and maintain 11,000 feet at this point, so I'm going to dial that up. We've got our co-pilot handling comms right now, which is what I tend to do for longer flights. But pretty uneventful, as you'd expect. Now, I believe the next 2 flights are going to be relatively short. I can't actually tell, but...
And maintain 1,000.
And actually, I think we're going to have one that's a little bit longer because, you know, we are going to be heading from Talladega. But the next one, I think, just keeps us over here kind of in NASCAR country, where you've got a lot of tracks all kind of glommed together on the eastern side of the U.S.
Walker 4021, contact Washington Center on 118.9 or 25.
Alright, well, she's supposed to be handling comms. Hopefully she will, but we'll see.
Descend and maintain 1,000, Walker 4021.
Cessna 402, Papa Echo, maintain 8500 traffic, 2 o'clock, 5 miles. Maintaining 8500, looking for traffic, Cessna 402, Papa Echo.
Alright,
To Washington Center,
so we're descending.
118.92.
A little over speeding, so was paying attention to what she was doing or was not doing, and obviously
Washington Center,
missed that.
Walker 4021. Good afternoon.
What?
We're descending through flight level 330 down to 11,000.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. She seemed a little irritated. I don't know why, but Okay, so down to 28,000. It looked like 26,000. So it had me a little confused. Let me go ahead, take a look at what we're reporting as far as altimeter at Blue Ridge. Looks like 2982. They haven't called it out yet, but not quite sure why it did that. Interesting. Why are we unable next altitude? Oops. Yeah, I'm hitting clear. Okay. Yeah, it did something odd. That's for sure, but alright. Must be a heck of a cross breeze because the angle we're pointing at and kind of flying at is pretty crazily different from where we're headed. So there must be a pretty good crosswind. But not a very long runway. I think this is, again, a 5,000 footer. But with a Cessna, this should be a lot more doable than anything else. So, well, I shouldn't say than anything else. Like, I could have flown a Cessna 172. I don't think I would have had the range, but, you know, it would have taken like 4 hours probably or more. Actually, it would have taken more. It probably would have been like 10 hours because I think it'll do like 80 or 90 knots. So, yeah. So obviously that isn't a realistic thing, but, and we'd also need a lot more of those planes because we could only take like a couple passengers in each one, so wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, we're basically going to be on the north, toward the north border between North Carolina and Virginia is where we're headed here. So you know, we had to go quite a ways. But once we catch up, it's a little bit easier, and certainly probably, you know, I'll be able to spend a little more time in each episode just because there won't be as much of a rush to try to get them completed. And, you know, I'll be doing one flight a week, basically, or, you know, if I need to get ahead, maybe 2 flights in a week, but it's not going to be 4 or 5 in a week, which is what I've been doing along with, you know, everything else. I had to do something for one of the VAs to maintain my active status and things like that, so it's always a challenge when suddenly we're trying to get lots and lots of flights in very quickly, along with, you know, everything else, playing TGC rounds and career rounds and things like that, and trying to fit that all in.
4021, Washington Center, descend and maintain 7,000. Altimeter 29.80.
Alright.
Descend and maintain 7,000. Altimeter 2980. Walker 4021.
I might want to see if they can get me another co-pilot, but I don't know that. I think she's one of the more professional ones. The others sometimes tend to be a little less so, but we'll see. So they're reporting 2980. I guess we'll change to that. I don't know that it changes that substantially, but
Walker 4021, contact Atlanta Center on 124.425.
Yeah, we're literally right on the border.
Center on 124.425, Walker 4021.
It's kind of a northwest division between Washington and Atlanta airspace. We're barely crossing the line, so going over Asheboro right now.
Center, Walker.
So that's
40,
what we've got there.
Afternoon. Descending through flight level 190 for 7,000.
Alright.
4021 Atlanta Center, good afternoon.
So that'll get us down a few hundred feet with the difference in the altimeter. But we should then be coming in, you know, it is runway 31, same angle we took off from, so. Alright, but we're down to 620, or maybe 820 per tank for the fuel.
Lufthansa 441 Heavy.
But we're a little over 50 miles away from the airport.
Walker 4021 Atlanta Center, contact Greensboro, approach on 124.35.
Interesting. It'll be Greensboro. That maybe this is an untowered airport.
Approach on 124.35, Walker 4021.
Yeah, I mean, we're very much going right along the line. I'm worried it's gonna like flip us back to Washington at some point. I hope not, but it may.
Greensboro approach, Walker 4021. Good afternoon. We're descending through 16,000 feet down to 7,000.
Wow.
Walker 4021, Greensboro approach. Good afternoon, Blue Ridge, altimeter 29.80.
Alright. So that stays the same. But yeah, I think we've got kind of that coming up. There's a city there. I'm assuming it's Greensboro. Can't quite tell on my Navigraph. It's not quite down there yet. I see something called High Point that we're passing kind of way off at the edge over there. You know, pretty much straight in that direction. Yeah, I was trying to see if I could tell where this interstate intersection is, but it's a little busy and harder to discern, so. Oops. Now I'm flipping things in the wrong place. I wanted to move in here. I was pointing at my Navigraph chart. Ay. Alright, let's get our landing light back on.
Approach, descend and maintain 4,000. Turn left heading 345 vectors for the RNAV runway 31 approach.
Descend and maintain 4,000. Left heading 345 for the RNAV runway 31 approach. Walker 4021.
Okay. I'm going to stick with where we're at, just because unless they start yelling at me, I think that'll work well, because obviously the plane is kind of descending at the pace it is based on that. I do need to slow down quite a bit here, so I'm going to go to full idle just to really slough off some speed quickly, because we really should be below 250 before we hit 10,000. Alright.
Walker 4021, proceed direct U Lake. Descend and maintain 3,000 until established. Cleared for the RNAV runway 31 approach.
And U Lake is where I'm going, so that would have like literally then turned me right back here. So I'm glad we did what we did. But yes, Greensboro, Piedmont Triad, Kilo.
Direct U Lake. Descend and maintain 3,000 until established.
So yeah.
Cleared for the RNAV runway 31 approach. Walker 4021.
Kilo.
Cessna 714 Lima cleared for the visual on 8
Sorry.
left, maintain 90 knots.
Tongue-tied.
Cleared visual 8 left, 90 knots, 714 Lima.
Kilo Golf Sierra Oscar is the airport. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, I can't see U Lake yet. You know, it's 17 miles away, and my Navigraph's zoomed in pretty substantially. At this point, it doesn't make sense to zoom it out. So, alright, we can go a little quicker here. But as we start to get down... Alright, we don't want to go too fast, because we do want to get to flap speed shortly. But I'm also trying to not take too long as we're coming in here. But cloudless trip the whole way, really nothing going on. Yeah, what I probably want to try to start getting going again is some of the traffic or something. And I know Say Intentions does some of that, although with the change they're making to the Skynet platform, which again I think they've been asking folks not to stream or anything like that because it's in alpha state. I think they eliminated the other traffic injection, but I could use something like FSLTL. It just obviously won't be managed or run, but we would have some other things around, so that may be what I do next flight or something like that, if I remember to do that. Alright, so just seems like this is taking a long time to descend. I mean, we just need to be at 3,000 at U Lake, and we've got, you know, almost 10 miles to go. We're still just under 25 miles to the airport, as you likely can see. Again, I'm looking at Navigraph. I don't have the screen up for where the banner is appearing. Alright, but you can see we're going to make a sharp left in a little bit. Now it's just coming onto our scope. And then, you know, we've basically taken the long leg approach because I just wanted to make sure I could get established and it wouldn't really be too challenging of a problem. So, but 3,000 is definitely where we want to enter that pattern. So yes, now it is appearing. So it's going to be over the town of Eden, it looks like. So we'll hit U Lake and then turn left and head over there. You know, pretty much on, I assume, 3-1. Alright, so we are going to slow down now. So we want to get below 200. So it's taking a little bit to get down there.
KLM 945 cleared for the visual approach runway. 9er report 3 mile final. Cleared visual 9er will report 3 mile final KLM 945.
Citation Charlie Golf Juliet Lima Whiskey Greensboro approach Roger.
Alright, so we're going to get the approach, but doesn't look like it's going to do... doesn't look like it's going to go ahead and give us any lateral positioning, which is unique, because I would think it would. Alright, so we're going to go flaps down. And that's going to start getting us you know, at a point we can. So it's showing something that it should be telling us where we're at, but yeah, it's telling us to squawk VFR. So, but yeah, once we're fully rotated there, should be okay. The top of descent, obviously, I think is too close, but maybe not. I'm just looking. I mean, we're still over 15 miles away.
Walker 4021.
It's hard.
Radar services terminated. Blue Ridge Airport at your 10 o'clock, 17 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Squawk VFR. Report cancellation of IFR or missed approach this frequency.
Okay, so I will let her handle this, because at this point we're not going to get anything at the airport. We're not going to, you know, there's really no reason for me to take over comms, and then I can just focus on, you know, coming in, and so I can dial this down now, and let's get our landing meter up. Alright, so yeah, we need to clearly kind of get down there. You know, we're 2,200 feet above the ground, so the airport's maybe at 800 feet. So obviously now we've gone below, but we should hopefully grab the glide slope, and that should then start bringing us down once we hit that top of descent in, yeah, 5 miles. That'll give us 7 miles to finish the descent, so that should be okay. So we're gonna try to stick with the automated plan, but yeah, still 11 miles away. I really can't say I have noticed the airport or anything. But we'll just stay with flaps 15. I'm not putting my wheels down yet. But yeah, Ubwe, I think, is what we're coming up on, or Ubwe. And so just before that, I'm assuming we should grab the glide slope, so that should be coming down. And again, we're probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles away, so it's going to be a little runway. It's going to be a little airport, but it's really close to the track, I think.
Walker 4021, Blue Ridge Airport at your 2 o'clock, 9 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Report cancellation of IFR or missed approach this frequency.
Bonanza 773 Delta Echo traffic at 1 o'clock, 3 miles, eastbound, altitude unknown. Looking for traffic 773 Delta Echo.
Okay, so we're kind of slightly going down. It hasn't done anything with the glide path yet. It may not. I mean, because it is there, but it doesn't appear that it's going to lock it in anywhere. But, you know, we are descending, so it might be there. I don't know. I'm gonna put wheels down now. Whoops, I'm sorry. I put the flaps down first. Now I'm doing wheels down. Alright, we're hitting the outer marker. I do not... Oh, okay. There it is. Like, I do not see any place that looks landable. But there it is. Alright. So, we're below 1,500. So yeah, this one does not give you a lot of options. This is definitely a small town airport. So yeah, you know, and these are so what flying's about when you're doing, you know, little tiny things like that. But I don't know, I don't remember exactly where Martinsville is in relation to this, but I know it was a lot closer than flying into Richmond, which I think was the previous location last year.
Walker 4021, Blue Ridge Airport at your 12 o'clock, 3 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Report cancellation of IFR or missed approach this frequency. Take care.
Alright. I am going to go ahead and terminate services by turning off say intentions at this point. Oh, now we are on the glide path. Okay. So it did lock in at some point. I did not notice that, but we're good. We're down to ground speed of 94 knots. Flaps are down. Gear is down. Coming up on 500. Problem is, you know, the terrain's not smooth, so now, you know, we're theoretically gaining elevation because we're coming kind of down the downslope of some hills. So, but now I feel much more comfortable. You know, we got a runway in front of us. Alright, so it just called out 500. Get my, you know, finger over there, getting ready to turn off the autopilot, probably once we get close to 200.
Autopilot.
Whoop. Dipping the nose a bit more than I wanted, but I wanted to slow down some. Alright, I am going to pull full idle and flare, probably too high. It's so hard not to bounce in this plane. Alright. So, good landing. Again, this thing's not modeled at all. I mean, you can see the footprints where buildings should be, but obviously we're seeing nothing. So, so this is as basic an airport as you can probably get in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I would think there'd be a bunch of hangars out here, and so that's kind of why I'm heading this way. And we'll just park it here. And that'll be good. So we'll get flaps up. Make sure everything looks good. Yep, it says taxi to gate. And so now we can get our guards cleared and do that. And welcome to Blue Ridge Airport. Did we like leave a skid mark on there? That's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean there are some planes down there too, but it's a good airport. Works nicely. But glad to have made it. Another leg behind us. So like I said, we've got a couple more, I think. I think we've got to get 8 and 9 done. And then, you know, it'll be a little bit longer one coming in. So, like I said, I would expect probably in the next day or two, I'd rather be done early and have everything kind of caught up than be fighting to do it and then be pushing to do two. That, oh, it's like a forklift. Just showed up out of nowhere. But, you know, and then pushing to do stuff quickly. But yeah, we had 17 feet per minute. That was definitely a floater. Is that what landing rate gave? It gave us 48. But, so definitely not bad there. But hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.